we're here in Two Rivers now. It's just the final checkpoint, so I'm feeling glad that we're getting towards the end. It's been a really tough race, a really difficult race, and I've been down pretty much from the start. I made some really stupid mistakes at the start of the race, and it shaped my mood, my outlook, and also how the race went. So I'm glad that we made it this far. I've been thinking about scratching pretty much constantly since leaving Pelly, so that's 200 miles into the race, I guess. The dogs, I think the dogs are probably a reflection of my mood as well. They've been kind of down. They haven't been themselves. They haven't been running so well. We had some real problems getting through the Black Hills, but they've had a really good run today. We got over Eagle Summit last night. Got a 4 or 5 hour rest in 101, and then we've ran straight here from 101, and they ran really well today. They went over Rosebud in really good time, and they're really positive. They're really upbeat and happy, and they've been in themselves. They've been happy. They just haven't been running particularly well. So. I haven't enjoyed it at all. It's been it seems to have been one challenge after another. Obviously, we started off with the really cold weather, down in the -40s, and I probably should have changed my plan the first day. My original plan was to camp and then run through Braeburn, then camp again, then run on to Carmacks. And when I saw how cold it was and how it was affecting the dogs, I probably should have stayed in Braeburn, and I decided not to. I decided to run through. So that was a real challenge, dealing with that cold weather. And then we had some jumble ice around the Cape, which was pretty bad. And then, like I said, I had a really bad run from Pelly to Stepping Stone, which it was pretty steep, and the sled was packed for 200 mile run effectively, so it was really heavy. So then that was a challenge. And then since Dawson, we've had some long runs. The weather picked up. It was really warm, too warm probably for the dogs. We hit a lot of bad jumble ice on the river. One day out of Eagle, I think we had a lot of wind, and that blew the trail through. We lost the trail 3 or 4 times. Coming out of Central, there was a lot of bad overflow, and we've been told that it was potentially pretty deep. And I think I seemed to get through the most of it pretty well, and then just as we get into the top of the creek, the dogs took a wrong turn. If we couldn't see where the trail was, they took a wrong turn. I ended up knee deep in overflow, and it just filled my boots up, and then I stumbled and fell over. And then we still had to get over Eagle Summit, and once we were over Eagle Summit, which was a long climb, it's normally a quick drop down into 101. They'd had to reroute to get around some open water on a creek, and we ended up going through a gravel pit, which with no snow on it at all. So that was hard work as well. So it's just been, I guess it's the Yukon Quest, but it's just been one challenge after another. And we should. I got in I think around about 5 o'clock maybe, so I should be leaving at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm just going to go bang on the 8 hour mandatory break and try and get into Fairbanks. Hopefully early afternoon tomorrow. We have the Meet the Mushers tomorrow night, and it'd be nice to go and actually grab a shower. I'm well aware of just how much I smell at the moment, so I'm looking forward to getting a shower before I meet the Mushers, and just relaxing with Louise and Chris, who's been over here handling for us, maybe having a couple of beers and enjoying the banquet on Saturday night. One of the positives, probably the major positive of the race, is just has been the amount of support that we've got from the communities and from some of the places which I haven't stopped at before. So I stopped in Stepping Stone. We've got fantastic hospitality there from the volunteers and the guys who opened up their cabin. The same with Earl and Sandy on the 40 mile. They opened their cabin up this year to all the mushers. I got there. By the time I got there, Magnus had scratched, so I was the final musher in the field. But they still opened the place up to us. They gave me their bed. They made a whole bunch of food for me. While I was sleeping, they dried all my clothes. So, and then again, coming out of Eagle, I stopped at Trout Creek, which again is another private cabin owned by Mike Sager, and he just again he made coffee and made me food, and And again, the same with Slavens. You know, the Park Service and Slavens do a fantastic job, and again, all the communities who come out and support having the checkpoints. You know, so whether it's Pelly, Carmax was a phenomenal checkpoint again this year. Eagle, again, I was the final musher in Eagle, so I had like a whole checkpoint full of people just looking after me, just, you know, making sure I had enough to eat, making sure I got to sleep, and I got woken up on time. So I mean, that really is a high point, that so many people who don't have dogs, they don't mush, they don't necessarily have a connection with mushing, but they just want this race to be such a success, and they do everything to help us down the trail. On by.